Hello, trading has closed on the 2nd of January 2025. As always, we'll start with our disclaimer. We will go over our calls and make our predictions. It's my trading plan for Friday, January 3rd, 2025. Please remember, this is a plan. I can change my plan. My plan can be wrong. Trade at your own risk. Also, I was busy most of the day, couldn't follow the market. If you're going to risk money, bear that in mind. But we looked for the pattern with the early high, which is this. We said that even though I'm very negative over the short term, I thought that the first 1 to 2 days can have counter trend action. I thought we had a good chance for a rally, but any rally was doomed to failure. I think that's what happened. This is a review of what we said. Today had the early high, tomorrow it should have the early low pattern. During the day we got an ultimate buy signal from MEJT. It says this drop was false, didn't stick. Said this rally was false, didn't stick. Eventually we got the higher prices, so that one's already played out. We're still in an area which the market's indicators count as support. Now, support doesn't have to hold. It can go the 1 bar under the line, but you're at support. We didn't gap under this line, so we can take this 344 handles possibility if we did maintain the gap off the chart. This 300 handles thing still stays, and because we didn't gap under this line when we broke it, I think we're going to retrace to the line. It's not a heck of a lot higher, but it's higher, and I think we should see higher prices even if we don't close higher. We also gapped up, hit a higher high, closed under all those highs and even this low. Unless we gap smartly over here, we should see lower prices. So we have one thing saying higher, one thing lower. The most important thing to me is we had a target of we said this spike low is an unstable pattern, and at some point we should trade under that spike low. We traded just under that spike low, then recovered at the close over that low and over the prior low, which to me is a rejection of the break to new lows and calls for higher prices. Now again, tomorrow's open can substitute for today's close, so we have a huge gap open. Forget everything I said, but if we're going to open around where we closed, I think the odds are that we trade lower and trade higher tomorrow, and that doesn't tell us how we'll close. I think eventually we're going to break lower, but that doesn't mean we have to break lower tomorrow in the first 1 to 2 days. That's when I usually look for a counter trend move. So I think we'll trade lower, I think we'll trade higher. I can't say how we'll close, but if we close higher after this rejection of the break, it wouldn't change my long-term strategy. It wouldn't surprise me over the short term, even though I can't say it's a requirement because it isn't. Well, Friday's pattern has an early low and a late high. Late high doesn't have to be higher than the early low, and the day in the cycle often has an irregular pattern. These things repeat every 32 calendar days, but if you look back every 32 calendar days, the change in trend times aren't as helpful as they are on some other days. We gapped up, we hit a higher high, but closed under intraday highs. Unless we gap up smartly, we should print lower prices tomorrow, regardless of how we close. We had a break under a significant trend line, but it didn't start with a gap. It's likely to retrace to that line. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but it's likely to retrace there. The break to new lows recovered over prior lows, so unless we gap down smartly, we should print higher prices tomorrow, which again doesn't tell us how we close. Accordingly, I'm looking for back and forth action tomorrow. Significant gap could easily change things. And even though I think much lower prices are coming, I have nothing requiring a big drop tomorrow. So we have things pretty reliable for saying we'll trade down, pretty reliable things for saying we trade up. If we bandied back and forth a bit, it wouldn't surprise me. And once again, that's my plan. I can change it, but that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm assuming we don't get a big gap, and if we do, then just erase everything I say. It's an irregular pattern tomorrow, but it should have the early low, and that's today's call.